Thank you, Madam Chairman. Thank both of you all for your willingness to serve. It's hard to recruit good people to be involved in public service today, and I appreciate it. Ms. Bernison, you may be familiar with a carbon project in Texas called Petronova.
Sir, somewhat.
A little bit, okay. Petronova was developed by a private company, but it was successful in part because of the federal cost sharing with the DOE. And following the success of Petronova, I was disappointed to see that the GAO, Government Accountability Office, determined that the DOE impounded funds Congress appropriated for the Advanced Research Projects Agency. And we'll call this ARPA-E for energy, okay? We learned this last December when GAO sent a letter to congressional committees outlining their findings. And as you might know, the administration proposed the elimination of ARPA-E. That would prevent us from having this public-private type of relationship. I think they believe that they're convinced the private sector is willing to step in and finance some of these projects by themselves. We've not found that to be the case. The fact of the matter is the Loan Program Office and ARPA-E have been successful, and they still are successful, important programs that's going to be necessary to solving our nation's energy problems. So I don't know how familiar you are with that. That might run a little bit in controversy to where the administration or someone within the administration thought everything should go absolutely 100% private. We can't find these projects and find them to be successful unless there's investment. And the DOE has always been a good partner to work with. So I'd just like to hear your thoughts or comments on that.
So thank you, Senator Manchin. I've not been briefed on the details of that particular situation. I understand, however, the issue that you raised and that it's important to you. And so in my role...
I think it's important to the country, with all due respect, because you're not going to find, I mean, there's still going to be, in my state, you know, we produce an awful lot of fossil, which is coal, natural gas. I'll reiterate what Senator Capito said about the storage hub. It's extremely important, not just for my state, but for Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Kentucky, but also for the security of energy for the United States. We're not weather prone in that part of the country, as you see the disruption we have from hurricanes and all that. So it would be a mid-Atlantic energy hub that protects and provides energy the country needs. This here, if you're ever going to, we're going to be using coal for quite some time, not to the extent that we have, but we will use it and we need it. But you've got to find different ways of using it, and if there's technology there, we can use it in a much cleaner fashion. Without the DOE, we don't go anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I appreciate that, Senator. And I was not obviously part of the budget process, but I can commit to you that in my role heading up the Office of Congressional and Intergovernmental Affairs, that I will work with you in your office, and I will make sure that we carry your views and your state's views back into the department.
Ms. White, we don't have any nuclear power stations in West Virginia, or we have no nuclear sites for disposal either. We do have one 15-acre legacy site in Parkersburg, and we'd love to have you come and see how we can move forward on this, because it's going to be a responsibility for, who knows, 100, maybe 1,000 years from now. They've been testing it every 10 years, and they found it not to have any levels that were of threat to drinking water, but still it is a legacy site. Right now, the DOE manages the site according to the site-specific plan that requires annual inspections and evaluations according to the DOE's own fact sheet. The facility, the encapsulated materials will remain potentially hazardous for thousands of years. And the material that was placed there was zirconium, and that was to produce metals. They were necessary for construction of nuclear reactors used in the U.S. Navy. So we have been a big supporter of all of this. So I would ask, I guess the classic example, legacy site continues to pose a long-term risk. How can we manage this? Is it a possibility to ever get this property back into some type of productive use?
I'm not familiar with the site of which you speak.
Well, we're going to invite you to come visit.
I know, I'd love to come
It's not
visit.
that far away.
But you don't have any green chilies, so I don't know.
We got pepperoni rolls that'll knock you dead.
So I'd love to come visit the site and become more familiar with it, work with you and your staff to look at what some options might be.
Well, just give me a little environmental management. What's your thought process on just the environmental management? Whether it's a legacy site, whether it's a potential legacy site.
Right. So in general, as I mentioned, safety, that goes almost without saying. It's one part of a three-legged stool. You have to have cost, production, and safety. It's very important. Also, decision-making. Decisions need to be made timely, and they also need to understand the long timelines involved in nuclear, as you rightly brought up, thousands of years. And they need to have a strong technical basis and a cost basis, and they need to get, sure.
May I have, take Yucca Mountain. I'm not from the West, and I've been to Nevada, not been to the Yucca Mountain site. There had to be a time passed, that someone thought that the geological formation, that it would be a proper place, it would be a safe place, and we invested billions and billions of dollars to make that safe. So someone's got to make a decision when we start using nuclear, not just for our defense of our country, but for the commercial. And there has to be a way to contain it, dispose of it, but not destroy the land. It can't be used forever. So with all these new products that we might be using, that's what I'm saying. Someone has to make that decision. How do we handle this? So this property here, which is a valuable piece of property, if it could be put back into production, will never be able to be put back into production. How many sites, how many pieces of property, how many things have we produced that we have taken off the market forever? And does that ever come into the decision, or should it come in to the decision-making process?
So the decision-making process about the specific things you're talking about that comes through a regular...
We're saying someone had to think about zirconium might have thousands of years effect.
Right.
Nuclear waste might have thousands of years. Everything that we produce that we need, they produce energy that we need. But for some reason, no one's thought about what the after effect and what generation pays the price. And can we ever put anything back in production? Or can it be mitigated?
So Yucca Mountain is not within my purview.
No, I'm just using that as an example.
Right.
I would like to ask you, as you're in your job, what do we do with Yucca Mountain? What can we use it for? We own it. We've invested into it. What could it be used for?
Right. And I'd love to speak with your staff.
Well, if it was made to handle nuclear, it should be able to handle about anything. We'd be glad to dig up the zirconium and take it to Yucca Mountain to take care of zirconium if they don't want nuclear waste.
Right. And I don't know about the specific site, Senator. I'm sorry.
These are tough ones. We can't even solve the problems either, so don't worry, don't. Just because you don't have an answer, we don't either, so we're all in the same boat here. But someone's got to speak to these things somehow in the future, and it's been going on for far too long. Thank you so much for being here.